Very good morning, all of you. Today, in this video, I'll be discussing about the action research. What is action research? Where does the action research is carried out? And then what are the different procedural steps to carry out action research? So let's begin with the definitions. What is action research is? Just look at that action research. Action is a word. Just talk about our own actions, and research is looking at deeply into that our own doings and reflecting upon it. Reflections. Here when we talk about action research, it is to say a very at a surface. Probably the action research is a cycle of posing questions, gathering data, reflections, and deciding on the course of action. So if you want to change ourselves, actions, if you want to change our own action positively and bring change to improve ourselves, then we need to visualize the questions, able to see the questions on what we are doing it, and to gather the informations based on the questions and make a deeper reflections on it. See it whether it works. Really, that data gathered supports you to decide on your course. So that is what you call the action research. Uh, for the few definition, uh, looking at the two definitions, just make out what it talks about. A process in which a practitioner study the problem scientifically so that they can evaluate, improve, and steer decision making practice. So this is one of the things that we just look at. We try to look at our work, look at the problems, then evaluate the problem, then we think about what can we do to improve, and ultimately we make some decision for the change. Number two, a systematic study that combines the actions and reflections. The action and reflections with intention to improve our own practice. So which means we always have an intention, urge to improve ourselves on the day by day basis. So in order to do this, we need to be very carefully thinking about the problem, collecting data, analyze it, and ultimately uh, see it how it can be used into practice. What is action research? Action research, a process deepens the inquiry into our own practice. So action research actually help us to think deeply into our own actions. Next is the value-driven reflections that leads to positive thinking. Thinking does not mean that we think anything that we want, but thinking that helps the community, thinking that helps you to support your students. Third one, practical way of looking at our own work to check that it is as we like to be. So we always like to be better and better every time. So in order to do this, we must look at our own work, be more reflective and practitioner. So third one is a practitioner based, self-reflective and improvement focused. For anything that we do, we must focus on our work, and it should be positively improved. Lastly, made up of two words, action research. We have to act on our own actions, and action must be supported by the research based evidence. And any action research that must lead to positive change. Looking at the two type of research, we have so far discussed about the conventional research that helps the people, research helps to make some decision, research brings some evidence to talk about some of the challenges, research that helps to bring a solution to the problem. All right. Now we will also look at action research that also supports and helps to bring a solution. So what's the difference between the action research and the conventional research? Action research is very effective to bring change in the classroom practice within the school. Conventional research tests the education theories and derives generalizations. The problem identifications, the problems during the teaching learning process can be observed and bring self reflections on our own practice in case of action research, whereas in the other conventional research, a wide range of methods is being used to identify the problems. Literature review, it will not be so huge or extensive, literature review in case of action research, because there will be quite less number and the focus will be different. Whereas in case of conventional research, the literature review is very much extensive. Participant in the action research is mostly students, and conventional research has got a quite a wider range of random species from the large pool or the large population. Research design is a very flexible, content driven, because it's all the action research look at how do I enhance the content delivery, how do I enhance the students' learning achievement, etc. falls on the action research, whereas in case of conventional research, structured and research design, which has been validated. So this has to be quite in case of design, they need to think about what are the different types of design they use, principles, they try to follow models. Qualitative and quantitative research falls under the conventional research. Data analysis is more of an analysis supported by the descriptive statistic analysis like a frequency, means, and percentage, etc. Whereas here in case of conventional, they use t-score, bar regressions on a larger scales. Sorry, applications of a result. Findings are used by the teachers, researcher immediately in the classrooms for practice. Finding usually generalized for the broadened applications. This is mostly for decision making at a higher level. So, purpose of action research: determine the cause, the very cause of the problem. Build a workable curriculum, because in the schools, if curriculum need to be changed, they need to do an action research, see how which kind of curriculum works the best. Provide students with the test taking techniques. Students should have been given a lot of opportunity to test, taking different kind of tests and enhancing their performance. Ultimately, the intent is to improve students' score in the exam. Now, the broader scope of an action research. Action research bring about social change for a better life, deals with the questions of our problems, not someone else, deals with our own questions and our own problem, not someone else. Meaning, if the teacher is practicing in the classroom, it brings change in him and also the community within the teaching community. Proves itself proves itself time and again as one way in which educators such as us can change to develop better understanding and thus improve the educational practice. So this is basically to see that we change ourselves. It mostly helps us to change ourselves through an action research and leads a better teaching learning. It enhances the teaching learning because it's totally directly related to our own practice. Help us to build a strong collegial relationship with those with whom we work to, because we would be able to share our experience and then share our findings to the closest friends, so that we bring a change in a teaching community. Gain a greater control over our own teaching practice. We become masters, we become perfect, and you have a stronger say on a particular things, because you have already given a repeated practice and you also know the deep cause, root cause of a problem. Break down some of the hierarchical barriers that can separate the peoples in the school, such as principals and teachers. If these are such kind of action research actually helps the people to make understand what teaching is, how teaching should be, how to enhance teaching learning. Sometimes it is quite challenging for the teachers to make understand the bureaucrats. So action research to helps them to convince the people at a higher level. Provides us an alternative way to review approaching our educational questions. Alright, then let's look at action research case carried out at a different level, at an individual level, at a group level, and at a school level. So at an individual level, we can conduct an action research within our own classroom practice. Action research can be carried out in a group, in 2 3 different classes working together with the colleagues, and we can also carry out the action research as in the school wide. All the teachers is being involved to bring some kind of conclusions to the problem. Now the process of action research is very simple. Planning, in the planning stage we try to think about the questions, identify the questions and problems. Number two, acting on it, acting on the plan that you have made. Acting on the plan, meaning here teachers has planned about how to bring change, what can be done to bring improvement of his practice. That is what has happened in the planning stage, and in the implementation, teachers act on it on the action plan. Now, once the action research is being carried out, teachers observe, monitors what happens to the learners and how the students' performance are. This is observation is collecting data and then see what kind of responses do the researchers see in the students, in the situations, in their performance, and these data is being analyzed and ultimately try to reflect upon it. uh, what the analysis say about it, about the research. Do the analysis talk about what he planned in the beginning is helping or supporting, or is it not going as, if if it is not working as what he has planned, then again need to replan and then act upon it and then continue to do this. This is what we call action research cycle or the action research process. All right, in the planning stage now, in the planning, when we talked about, there is a first planning. In the planning, we must frame a questions. In the first stage of the planning is to frame the questions, and number two, carry out the situational analysis by carrying out reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is a situation, it's an analysis of three different areas: situation, literature, and competence. If we can triangulate these three, then we will be able to see very neatly why the question is, what the question is. So situation analysis has to be done by looking at our own background, looking at the school, looking at the classroom, looking at the students, type of teachers, type of curriculums. When you look at the literature, what the people have said already about the same problem in the past, then competence is looking at your own levels, looking at your students' ability, looking at the teachers' ability, and looking at your curriculums, the potency of the curriculums, how it can cater the quality of your curriculum material. So these are the competencies here. So these three need to be triangulate. You look at from three angles and then try to bring a conclusion. Ultimately, you will be able to understand your problem more clearly. Stage 2 planning is plan an activity in a matrix and timelines for the tasks. Here, since for action research, you need to be very careful what you are going to do in every stage of your uh, uh, activities, because here in the second stage we are talking about the activities. So we are trying to see that what activities will be carried out during your action research periods. All right, then to coming to the implementation, once you have the questions, and then you have done the literature review, then you will always think about the how you are going to do, what are your design of your research. You are also looking at what are some of the intervention that you are going to put to the students to improve their learning. So in order to see the situations, we do a pre-test, try to test the ability of the students in the beginning, before we try to put some actions, before we try to give some support to the students. That is a pre-test. Pre-test is we are trying to see the ability of a students without giving any support. Then once you have given a support, or you have given some kind of interventions, then again, after doing that for around a month or so, then we do a post test. That is to find out if there is any change after giving intervention. Does the intervention made any change to the children? Then we try to find out post test. All right. This is a method of a data collections. So the data can be collected in two ways: qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data can be collected via interview, focus group discussions. Interview, you can conduct an interview to the children. You can also gather few students, selected students, and also conduct an interview. And you can also make continuous observations on field note, diaries, journals, and checklists. You try to maintain every day your observation of children. Next is we also do a qualitative data collections using like thematic analysis and qualitative analysis. Now in the thematic analysis, we try to look at the field note and observations, and these various interviews, field notes, and observations are all being thematically analyzed using a triangulations methods, where we try to bring all the ideas from different uh, data into one point, whether they all speaks the same. So we try to look at that. That is called a triangulations. So thematic analysis is to bring all those themes in a collected different source of data, try to look at it and how they all speaks the same, and trying to bring together is triangulation. Quantitative analysis is a descriptive analysis, is being described by the quantitative, like data can be somewhere represented in the pie chart, graph, using as simple as the Excels. We can use all those graph and interpret those information or the data into pie charts and graph. And this is called quantitative. We deal with the number. The thematic is all deals with the themes. All right. Then now, what is reflections? What is reflections? Reflection is a generic term for intellectuals and affective activities that individuals engage and explore their own experience, leading to an understanding and appreciations. Reflecting our own works, and then always being positively reflecting, and then bringing a positive change to our own actions through very effective intervention. Recognitions, once more, I'm just showing here how the recognitions directly related to an action research spiral cycle. This is an action research spiral cycle. You are going to see there is, in this beginning, there is a planning, then there is an acting or implementing, and when the action is being implemented, we try to observe and collect data, And once we have collected data, analyze it qualitatively or thematic, thematically, qualitatively or the quantitatively or thematically, and that result is being reflected, think over, and then again if the your your implementations need improvement, then again replan, then again act upon it, observe, and then again reflect it. This cycle continues and ultimately when it becomes perfect. So this is called spiral cycle of action research. Okay, the spiral cycle is continuous and progressive and it keeps on improving. The action research process is very open and iterative continual process. Iterative very continuous process begins with an idea, followed through the idea, and check if it is work. So it continuously we think about like how it is being planned, act, observe, reflect, and again plan. And this is why it is a very continuous process. It's an open, no, it has got a never ending. Improvement can happen day and every day ways. You keep on acting your own actions. Look at that. What can I do to improve? The fourth one, develop a flexible routines and process of continual learning. So this kind of research also helps teachers to continuously read and understand more. The final one, not about the method, but it is all about our own values and intention. So action research do helps the teachers directly. Thank you. I think I have discussed enough. Please go through this and we will discuss more during the class hour. Thank you.